Liquid and Eternal Fire just made their way into the grand final of CCT, and I was told this was the most interesting game of the final. So I wanted to take a look at a Yakindar Wide Swing versus a Xantares Peak. Take a look at how they play on Dust 2. And this is actually a really interesting pistol round in terms of play from Liquid. They get into this weird setup where they're doubled up, posted on lower. They've got kind of 2 on B as well, and Skulls is on plat. So they're really gambling B. But the most interesting part is Cadian has a flash, which you don't often see this late into the round. You don't see too many reactionary pieces of utility on pistol rounds, but Liquid has it, and it's going to work out insanely well. So Naf makes contact, the T's are pushing in. This looks like a really bad situation, but the flash comes over, and Naf gets 2 not the easiest kills ever. I think he might even get a 3rd for himself here. Just a really great hold. If they went A, I suppose the idea was to just play retake, and there's nothing really wrong with that. The problem with the round actually isn't anything with the B hold, it was the lower tons hold. Because Major killed, it looks like both players that were in lower tons with his dualies, overpowered by the way, and brought it into a 1v2 that's super winnable. Now, the CTs do have control of the bomb, which means they know Major has to be coming, but especially because Naf is on 15 health, it makes this really awkward as to what sort of crossfire they can play with so many angles that Major could be coming from. And unfortunately, Naf is getting into a pretty good spot there, but gets killed just before he gets there, and then into the 1v1, trapped on back plat. Skulls wants to hide, but I think right here he realizes, he probably thought to himself, I can hide, wait the timeout, and then at this moment, no, you can't hide and wait the timeout, but he's actually put himself in this really awkward spot at that point because he's let Major get a little close. Of course, he had to reload as well. He might have even run out of ammo, though I don't think so. Kind of a funny situation because I bet he was thinking, yeah, I'm just going to hide and wait out the time. And then as soon as Major starts running up, it's like, no, I don't have the time. And if I let him peek on me, I'm screwed. So you stand up, but Major knows that's happening and counters it himself. So round 2. It is a force buy. This is, again, one of the strongest force buy maps in the game, especially if you get scouts specifically, because you have lots of control, especially with lower tons. It's hard to avoid those close range fights in lower tunnels. And at the same time, if you want to fight long range, you've got scouts that are hard to deal with. And you can buy a counter scout, but then if you miss or if they just headshot you, you're dead. And then if they hit you at all with those scouts, they can kind of pepper you with scout shots, and then the 5.7s can finish you off with 1 or 2 shots. So it's really hard to play super well and super safe against a force buy on CT side Dust 2. And I've seen some pretty good logic for why it makes a lot of sense, because if you force buy Dust 2 CT side second round, then you can actually get into the op or even double op setup earlier on. If you full save on second round CT side, you're going to go for a buy on third round with 4,400, and you're a lot less likely to get kills on second round, allowing you to get enough for an op, right? But if you full force on second round, then you can have that player maybe buy a little bit less and get a really good buy with an op onto the first gun round. And so far on Dust 2, it seems like the double op setups have been doing really, really well. So it makes perfect sense to want to be getting at least 1 op as early as possible. And you can maybe do some slight gamble stacking and things like that to try and make sure that you keep those ops up for as long as possible. But this is just a full anti-eco. Of course, if you're Liquid, hoping to get maybe a couple of kills here would be great, especially hopefully not dying with too many players to the guy with the Mac 10, but Calyx hit a pretty insane strafing shot for the second kill there. Anyways, first gun round, this is where it really starts to matter. This is before the update, by the way. So when we look at this, you have to keep in mind the Molotovs for the CTs are a bit bigger than they will be in the near future. And that means that you could connect double mollies in long, and it would be a lot harder to deal with. But this is the play that a lot of T teams are going for recently. It's exactly what you want to be doing in this type of take. And it's really underrated in terms of how strong this is. get this first player up close as quickly as possible to dodge the CT flash. So he doesn't get blinded by that, but Xantares is actually going for a patented Xantares swing. I'm guessing actually trying to catch people as they're falling back maybe, or trying to catch someone as they're falling back to car. But because he's going for the peek out at the same time, he ends up getting kind of caught off guard and losing the fight. Although that's really just a 50-50 duel. I think if he was playing, you know, just holding the angle, I think he probably wins that fight pretty comfortably, but that's just speculation. I'm not 100% sure on that, really. I mean, nobody can be 100% sure. Anyways, nice spam, okay, from Naf. And here's where they want to be fighting together to try and take down this player in mid. If they can get a kill onto Calyx here in middle without losing a player, they could be going for the retake at this point, but actually no kit, even with a bit of utility, they probably should just be saving here unless they're given something by Eternal Fire, given some sort of control of anything. In fact, you have to be careful because they could just be getting hunted down pretty early in this type of situation. Oh my, okay. It looked like Calyx actually flashed Wicadian. I thought Wicadian wasn't gonna get the go. So, League will survive with 2. It looks like they kind of sent Naf out almost like sacrificially to try and like force contact in middle so that the other 2 could save safely in T-spawn. Because if Naf didn't push out, maybe Wicadia, or Calyx rather, goes into lower tunnels and they're stuck in B, and then it gets real awkward. But here, looks like a triple up on B with the 3 guns. Is that all 3 saved guns? Or did they, yeah, that's, oh sorry, 2 saved guns. So they triple up on B with 2 saved guns. Generally a pretty good idea. You have to be careful though. You have to spend some utility on towards A, because if you don't use any utility, they're just going to find out you have pistols really early. But this type of early smoke that you can throw from elevator, it looks like Yukindar threw it from elevator. If you throw that early, you can put it in a situation where if the T's do probe out long A, they have to probe knowing that they could just walk into a gun and die. The goal really is though, don't let them know that you have the guns stacked on B until it's too late. And that smoke is of crucial importance. If they don't throw that smoke, Xantares can just come long, peek out corner, kind of jiggle it out. And if there's a rifle there, he probably doesn't die, but at worst it's a 50-50. And if there's no rifle there, then he knows it like right away, right away, right? So I thought he wasn't going to see him there for a second. So another round for Eternal Fire, and 5-0 to start with. It's really hard to deal with this type of thing, because if we look at after this round, what is the money going to look like? You have 3 players on Eternal Fire over 10K. That is insanely hard to deal with. And if you think about it, it's only 1 gun round that Liquid lost. And I can definitely understand why people have been annoyed with the economy. Not only the second round win, which by the way is really frustrating and hard to deal with, but I don't think it was quite as bad as people made it out to be. Not that it wasn't bad, and especially when things went wrong, like when you lost against the second round T-Force, it just felt like the worst thing ever. You getting punished for winning pistol round. But statistically, you were still better off as a T to win T-pistol than you were to lose with a bomb plant and win second round. That was based on the data I got. I didn't analyze every game ever, but yeah. Anyways, that was just kind of interesting information that I got. In any case, fairly standard round open for Eternal Fire. Get into lower tunnels. And once you get into lower tunnels, you can parlay lower tunnels control into cat control. And once you have cat control, there's lots of things you can go for. You can work your way back around long if you want. Oh, that's a cool molly. So I noticed before that if you throw a good molly now, oh, they're actually doing kind of the opposite, actually. Wow, okay, so flying around is not an option. They screwed up demos, so the cursor's always visible now. So I push it off screen. I don't know. Anyways, I noticed that you can actually, with bigger mollies, with T-side mollies now especially. Oh, that's a sick play. Okay, I really like that play. This is trying to, oh, Twistzz, dude. Every time I see Twistzz play, man, he's so crazy good at the game, man. Holy crap, I can't believe he's no longer on phase, dude. All right, so smoke off left side corner. That's actually Xantares' smoke. That's a cool smoke. Probably worth learning. Because even if you don't want to go for this play, you smoke an opera off the angle so you can be a little more comfortable. And then you try and fight that rotating player. If you saw my last Dust 2 analysis, you're generally going to have a rotating player there in CT very often. So you try and isolate that rotating player and catch him off guard when he's really not expecting that type of play. That's really cool. And Xantares is stuck on platform and he's running out of ammo. I think he would be happy maybe with an M4A4 here. And he's just... yeah, you just can't get out of the molly in time. But they do have a 3v1 retake. Calyx doesn't get the kills. And Liquid are finally on the board, but they're still going to have to win at least one more gun round after that. So 3 gun rounds in a row as punishment for losing pistol in first gun round. It really does suck to play against. Here, Wicadia going for the jump spot. That's an interesting play. Just trying to spot it out, and you can see the molly coming. You don't have to worry too much. I mean, he jump spotted, didn't take any damage. I guess the idea is to see, is there an opper there? Oh, yeah, to sniff out. If there's an opper there, you shouldn't die, and you get good information. If it's rifling, if they're smoking it off, you get information. Maybe you can actually, you might even be able to pivot based off the information if you say that they're not mollying. Yeah, that's really cool. Okay. We got Naf fly back plat, somehow has already lost 90 health. Okay. And Xantares is going alone into lower. This is not like super crazy, but that does show a lot of confidence in Xantares because I do see oftentimes you just won't have an upper tons player and instead you'll have 2 players in lower because you do have to worry about the CTs just putting 1 player into lower. If the CTs know you only go 1 player lower, they can send a player lower, and if he gets that kill, the upper tons player is going to be in a really awkward spot after the lower player dies. So Xantares again just walks out middle. He's just, I mean, this is an online event, I think, isn't it? He's just comfortable taking these types of engagements, just walking out, taking slight risks, but this is Dust 2, and especially when you're already up, you know, when you're already ahead. By the way, this is a great angle from Naf. This is an angle that is very much so worth stealing. This angle here, really hard to deal with, and when you're peeking out, at the point that you would see this player, it's also the same point when you would probably see a window player. So you're probably going to be pre-aiming window when you see this angle instead of pre-aiming this angle where it's just a headshot angle. Super cool angle, but Calyx has the perfect counter to it. And not only that, but because he kills that player doors, I think it's very obvious that Naf's going to still be here somewhere in sight, and he's just pre-aiming everything. And once he gets to the box, that is a terrible angle. Like, that is a really uncomfortable angle once that guy gets out to the box. The problem is, I mean, obviously you're not hoping that they do exactly what they did there. Then Cadian 1v, oh, I thought it was 1v2. 2v2. Really nice play to catch the bomb planter. Now they're thinking he might be outside. Yeah, just good play overall there from Liquid. But the key is, the problem is they're only winning with 2 players alive both times, I believe. Is this both times? No, 3 players alive once, 2 players alive. So general rule, you survive with 2 players alive on CT side and win the round, you lost. You lost money. Your econ is worse off than it was beforehand. So although they're winning, they're still not really helping themselves. And here's another buy, this time with an op that goes for the peak long. And this time they caught Liquid in a pretty weak setup. They only had 1 player long, and it looks like the Liquid player, he might have had a smoke. He might have been getting smoked off. Let's take a look at that, actually. Oh, Cadian has the op and he just dies. That is a Woxic classic, to be fair. Woxic, I was going to say Xantares peak, but this is a Woxic peak. The flash does land at the right time, but Cadian's just holding that so narrow. That's like a scared angle. You hold that so narrow. If the guy just over peaks, and I think Woxic over peaked that angle, didn't he? You just die. Or you definitely don't get the kill. And this is kind of what Eternal Fire has been trying to set up for the majority of the T side, is these types of engagements. It looks like the idea is just that they're pretty comfortable at just winning. If they can get into 50-50 gunfights, they should be able to win them against Liquid a lot of the time, especially depending on which player they're running into. And with Naf and Twistzz both playing B, it does make sense that you would try and isolate those A players. Well, Naf and Twistzz play B and mid, but usually your B and mid player are very often going to be doubled up together. So you try and isolate those A players if you feel like, you know, your players like Woxic and Xantares especially. Xantares has been insane since the start of CS2. if they're just going to be able to out-aim those players on Liquid on the A bomb site. You can probe a little bit. Don't have to overcommit to anything crazy, but you can probe a little bit with players that you're comfortable taking those aim duels against. But nice play there from Xantares. That's a nice play from Liquid, I think. Little timing play they've got here. So there's the molly. This is like the long hit. And they get the exact right timing where Wicadia is still just coming out. He's not quite all the way out. Then the counter Molotovs from the T's to make sure the CTs can't cross over to pit. But they're still going to have to be fighting. And the CTs are still going to have to be fighting too. And Xantares just mows him down. Oh my god. Okay. Let's watch that back. Xantares, show me the money. Show me the money! This is just the most... This is why I feel like Dust 2 is really such an aim map, because this type of play on long is going to happen a lot, and there's really no way to avoid it. If you want to hold long as a CT, you're just going to have to take those types of gunfights, and you can use utility, but so are the Ts, and eventually the utility from both sides somewhat counters each other out, and once they counter each other out, then you're just... whoever is like the most scared loses. You either swing with confidence and you play as if you're going to win those fights, or you don't and you give it up and you basically wasted a ton of utility for nothing. You just lost. You wasted a ton of utility for a 0 gain. Really unfortunate. Well, I suppose unfortunate's the wrong word. It's just the realities of Dust 2. It does feel like an aim mappy map. You know, I think every map somewhat prioritizes different things, like different types of teams, different types of IGLs are going to be good on different types of maps. For example, Nuke is really rotation based. I think teams that have on CT side are just really comfortable with the rotations and know how to pivot off of each other's plays are generally going to do really well on that map. Whereas when you're looking at, I'm missing all the kills, man. When you're looking at Dust 2, I think Dust 2 is also a rotation-based map, but more so on the T's. It's on the T's to be able to call mid-round to draw those rotations around, to push that CT spawn player that wants to help with A and help with mid, to push him over to A, then come out mid, or to push him over to mid, come out A, those types of things. But at the same time, it's partially, you know, kind of a mid-round calling map. It's partially, I think, very aim-heavy map as well. Woxic very narrowly didn't catch the timing to get that kill. You got to be very careful because that first CT spawn only barely beats the first T spawn to the corner. So if you have the T opper get that first T spawn and you take a roundabout route to get there, very dangerous. very dangerous. Very dangerous. Yeah. T's can still go for a delayed long take. That's why you still need 2 players kind of helping out here, because a delayed long take is more than possible in these types of situations. There's the deep smoke from Skulls, which means the T's are going to have to use a ton of utility or send a lot of players if they want to actually retake long. So Liquid could be going for something here. I'm surprised they didn't try and send an opper onto Cat. That seems to be the standard play now. You go for that long control, and your opper throws the utility to go for that long control. And because the opper throws the utility, in fact, there's some jump throws you can throw from back here. So you can like double flash and then jump on this box right after your second flash, and then come over to Cat, and like I've seen Device from that angle there quite often get a lot done. I'm surprised they didn't do that, but instead Cadian with the op. Nothing wrong with that anyways. Oh yeah, I love this play. Love this play. This is going to be such a pug play. Like, so many people are going to be running this in pugs on Dust 2. I know it. Where you just get that guy into the box there, especially if the T's are throwing that standard smoke. It means they have to come around that smoke at a huge disadvantage to the angle that we saw Skulls at there. And one flash from the CTs can allow a peek from Skulls to potentially get like 2, 3, 4 kills or something like that. It's insane. But unfortunately, regardless of that, even, I think there were 4v3. They just couldn't get the kills at the right time. The retake's already in, and I don't think Major realizes Twistzz is on the ramp. So Twistzz is going to be able to get the angle on him. That is not an easy shot, by the way. That is not an easy shot. Double scoped in, all you can see is head. That's not an easy shot, man. Bomb planted for Cat. Woxic. Oh, okay, Woxic. All right. Oh. Now, 5 shots actually plays into this because he's got to be careful on his last shot here. And Twistzz oh my god. Nice timing on the peak. He just waited just long enough Bomb wasn't going to be able to get defused. Nice. Nice play. Nice play. Nice play. 8-2. All right. I thought this was supposed to be an epic game. Again, Dust 2, basically, if you're good at long, you're going to have a huge win percentage on Dust 2 if you're a better long. So this is what Xantares was trying to do last time, and doesn't work out this time either. That's the play Xantares must have been trying to do in the previous round, where he gets under that overhang and the CTs are swing on him as he swings on them. He must have been going for that exact play, but in this case, there's 3 long players, so they just swing out or they just spam him straight back, and it's like not a big deal. Wow, they're just getting run over right now. I mean, this is a T-sided map in general. Dust 2's always generally been a T-sided map, but it's not like crazy usually. Usually it's like 52, 53% or something. Calyx threw his own molly, okay. And you're just going to save with 3 players. I mean, this is all you can really do. The challenge is being able to save with 3 players here, right? The challenge is, can we do it? Oh, that's a sick... I mean, that's almost never going to be usable ever. That is an interesting shadow that we now have. There's way too many... I hate shadows in CS2. Can I get an amen if you hate shadows in CS2? If they're so freaking annoying, you have to like memorize all these random shadow angles. Jeez. Okay. Liquid has generally been losing the long control battle, so they're trying to look for some alternative options. When you're getting attacked on long A, by the way, this is a play you should be, if you're a B mid player, you should be looking towards. This type of double walk into tunnels, because if you're losing long A control, this does rely on your teammates giving you good information, because your teammates really do have to give you good info as to how many players we're throwing utility. Like, if 3 flashes blow up at the same time, that means at least 3 players, even if it's only, 2 players, like 1.5 players worth of utility, right? But if you get good information from your teammates, then you can know, okay, there's at least 4 long, then you double walk into tunnels, and you can set yourself up really, really well for a flank, or at least to get some information on the map, so you're not completely screwed. Interesting, though, it looks like Eternal Fire is throwing the old school utility set, which is 2 smokes. Okay. Oh my god. I wish this is like, if this was like at a major, oh my god, that's an insane play. Holy. So I was gonna say, it looks like Eternal Fire's kind of throwing like the old school utility set. Maybe they just hadn't practiced Dust 2 enough. Or maybe they just think it's better. I mean, there's no reason it couldn't be good, where you double smoke cross. But the problem is, the reason I wouldn't throw that now is because 1 smoke will cover all of cross. You actually don't have to worry about it at all. 1 smoke will fully cover cross. The problem is just the smoke getting naded. Maybe the double smoke cross still works, because maybe we have a situation where with the double smoke cross, the nades aren't as effective. But I don't think that's how that works. Wow, Liquid actually got this clutch, except for Twistzz. Okay, if he didn't have a kit, that would have... Yeah. Generally, I've seen, as Dust 2 has continued, more and more and more teams are going for that double smoke, where they smoke here and they smoke here. It almost looks like that's what Xantares was expecting when he came through, but I don't know. Yeah. Oh, nice. Oh! Oh! Okay, Calyx. All right, buddy. I don't try and get too hung up on analyzing pistol rounds, because generally what you end up seeing is that on pistol round, teams are just kind of gambling, and then you try and see, do you hit your shots or not? Like, Xantares probably should be winning that most of the time. Generally, Cadian should be dead by now, right? But that's just how it is, because if either team misses, there's just so many options. It is interesting, though, that historically Liquid has had really bad pistol rounds, even when they were insanely good aimers. Like when they had their 2019 run where they were out-aiming everyone, they still had, well, okay, bad. They had good pistol rounds, but compared to their abilities, I think even in their run where they won like 5 events in a row or whatever, I've looked at that pistol round win rate. It's not as high as you'd expect. Like you'd expect a team that out-aims by far everyone, and they just like any gunfight, they're going to one-tap you every single time. You would think a team like that would win like 60% or higher of their pistol rounds. I think it was like 56% or something, which is still high, but like you would expect it to be stupid high, like with that level of dominance, you know what I mean? And it wasn't. I don't think I would describe it as stupid high. Dualies on second round. I hate dualies as like they just seem so much worse than P250, but I've seen a bunch of people buying them recently. So here's the situation, by the way, when you go for this buy now as CTs, okay? You've got, let me check if this works, by the way. Someone said if I use H, it'll get rid of the crosshair. No. No, please, if someone knows, he said on, whatever. So you've got this situation where here's a buy, no op, and not even great utility either. They've got, how many mollies? One or two mollies, right? Oh God, this is the worst. This is another glitch that they've got. They've got one molly on their entire side. They've got one molly, right? So how do you really fight for long very effectively? Oh, okay. How do you fight for long very effectively with one molly? And that, by the way, is exactly what I would expect would it be looking for teams potentially to be doing if you know that your opponents are going for one player in lower only, walks into lower, and if he's only running into one player here, it's going to be very different than if you're running into three, where trade's almost completely guaranteed. Then Xantares up cat. So yeah, this is a situation where I think because of their utility on the first gun round, even though there's a difference, right, between a first gun round where the T's bought all AKs on second round, or a T team bought a lot of Mac 10s on a second round. And in this case, the T's bought mostly AKs and Galils in the previous round. So they ended up in this spot where they had 3 alive, but they had full AKs. So they don't even have like a gun advantage. The Eternal Fire down. But they had no utility either. So they're kind of forced in that case to do something odd, right? And I think the gamble there was like, I think they were just gambling, hopefully liquid first gun round, especially on after a force where they know that we're going to have a little bit less utility. Maybe we're going to be struggling on utility. Maybe they go for a long play. They try and force long control. So because if you force long control, if you're liquid in that case, if you force long control, you do end up having to aim duel to some extent, but at the same time, the CTs might just be at a disadvantage because they don't have enough utility. For example, if they could have afforded it, but if they didn't change their utility buy, they would have only had one molly for long A if they went for the long A contest. Of course, they could have just got 2, but then they would be missing some flashes, they'd be missing some smokes. So they either waste all their utility early or they don't have enough of it to go for it. So you go for like long control, then you can go back cat and exec onto an A site where the CTs have almost no utility to hold on or potentially retake the site with. So it looks like kind of a bit of a gamble stack. I don't even know if it's a gamble at that point. It's just, a play where if the T's go for long control, then maybe you can try and flank them at top mid, and you can take out, if they go for like 4 long, or sometimes maybe even 3 long, you can kill that solo. You can kill the player that's solo in tunnels or solo top mid or whatever that will often be around, and you try and search him out and get the kill on him. I think would be a really one of the ways that setup could work. So onto the eco, but they have one M4 and an MP9. So buying a little bit is what I believe happened, unless I'm misremembering. It was only like 1 player alive less, right? Yeah. So buying a little bit, like getting an MP9, getting an upgraded pistol, is never a bad idea basically in this economy, I feel like, because you just give yourself the opportunity to prevent the T's from stacking up too much money. Because if we remember back to the first half, how much money was stacked up on Eternal Fire, they had just a stupid amount, and then there's just almost no way for Liquid to actually come back into the game at that point, right? So if you get these types of situations, you play a little passive. You don't go too aggressive too early, so you don't like lose the round before the T's have to waste utility. You try and force them to use as much utility as possible in these sorts of situations, and you have the guns to, hopefully take out at least 1 or 2 kills, right? And Woxic is an okay spot. Oi! Wow, doing a lot of... They're actually peppering them pretty hard, and Major's in a good spot. Now through the smoke comes Woxic. Oh my. Okay. That's really well played just in terms of baiting and switching. And yeah, and there's the flank. Yeah, and the key to this round though, someone has to take a risk at some point. Someone has to do something at some point. You can't all play passive. I think the balance of aggressive and passive players is not talked about nearly enough, where you want some players that can hold their angles, not get, you know, they don't need to get aggressive. They don't need to be pushing everything, but you do need some players, or I mean, I guess you need every player to be capable of this, to do these types of plays where Major flanking tunnels is really the reason that worked out. If Major doesn't flank tunnels, then they don't even know necessarily if the T's are all going out mid, because they could be throwing that utility and then even going back long. So maybe the long player doesn't push in that case. And they don't have that, they don't have Major up close in the doors to finish off that kill on the close mid player that actually makes that round work out. That is a really well played kind of like semi-force there. Really nice. Then Xantares into tunnels. That's a really good nade, by the way. And you can throw it and, yeah, get away. And especially if you have a situation where the T's, a lot of T teams, so it looks like Liquid is throwing the good smoke. Again, I can't free roam. It looks like Liquid is throwing the good smoke that lands on top of the doors, right? The double doors are like below like this or whatever. Please don't read into that drawing. It looks like they're throwing the good smoke. But if you're playing a pug, odds are they're probably throwing an Xbox smoke that lands on Xbox, and a lot of those smokes will cover the cross into lower tunnels, so you don't even need to use your own smoke. You just use their smoke, and their smoke will allow you that cross in and out of lower tunnels to easily get off that type of nade. You have to be careful on the timing, right? But play is still good. Oh. Oh no. Oh no, he's cheating, isn't he? If you watch my second most recent video, assuming I release it, that one makes sense. That reference makes sense. Calyx back plat. Feels like a great angle, but you can still, Cadian probably, oh my god, insta-dink from Skulls. Insta-dink from Skulls, then the molly, oi! And the lurk out at the same time. You can, doesn't hit the shot. So 3v3, still very winnable from either team. T's, of course, typically have a bit of an advantage. Nice nade. T's typically have a bit of an advantage with the numbers getting lower because there's a whole map and the CTs, you know, are going to be more spread out, which means even if they get as many kills as they should, there's going to be less trade backs and there's going to be longer rotates, so the T's and the afterplan are going to be able to get into better positions. I believe Naf just lurked out mid and died. Yukindar is going to bring it back. And that swing, that swing is a risky swing to some extent, but not a crazy one, especially if you know that the rotation's like... I'm thinking he might be leaning towards thinking that CTs only have one player in CT spawn, in which case you hear him throwing utility and you know that you can go for the kill. But perhaps he knew both were there and he just kind of gambled it. The long flank around. So they will be able to isolate that Cadian is in short. And the bomb doesn't look to be planted for him. Again, I can't free roam. They should be able to... They definitely know that Cadian's in short, but they don't have... Do they have enough utility to stop him? Oh. At this point, just save. Yeah. Yeah, if you can't get it... Does the bomb explode? Oh my god. Didn't even need to do anything. Didn't even need to do anything. Bomb wasn't even planted for him. Oh no, eternal fire. No. Okay, well, I don't know how. Yeah. Yes, yes. That round happened. So Wicadia completely alone long, and this is what you need to do. If you're completely alone long, don't stick around long. Leave long and let them take it, because if you stick around, all you're doing is letting yourself die. But the problem becomes Xantares jumped off of plat, which I don't know how much I love that, because it's okay to lose long, but you can't, it's really not okay to lose long like this, where all of your players are elevator. So you can't, because what you really want is you want Woxic on plat with the op, and then you want these two players to both go cat. that's really like best case scenario. They can go cat together. They can help clear out mid together, and then they can maybe even one holds cat and one comes back to plat, right? That's really what you want in these types of situations. But if you, especially if you're long players, if you have like, let's say you have 2 long players and they know they can't hold long, so they back up, but they don't have time. Oh my, there's 4. Do they have 4 nades? Okay. And the 4th one hits. The first 3 miss, but the 4th nade that he wanted to throw instantly but couldn't misses. Oh, that's hilarious. Does Liquid like throw like the smoke earlier? Like, is that a CT smoke? Okay, so this is just like, we think that Liquid is going to be, that's a CT smoke, right? Yeah, it's a CT smoke. So they think Liquid is going to be doing, because if you remember Eternal Fire, they did this exact play where they would take long and they would just walk up long really quickly and they would just like full commit. Oh, and Calyx is in tunnels. So they know that Liquid basically has to be long, but Liquid's just not rushing it. Liquid's just taking their time because they probably don't realize, because they've got Naf here. They're thinking that tunnels is pretty safe. They've got a guy top mid, so they're thinking that the CTs don't really have any information, and you don't really necessarily want to be going up long with only 3 players. Usually you want 4. And then I think I think those 4 nades, Liquid is like, boys, I think they might have an idea that we're long. If Twistzz can get 1 here, that would be clutch. That would be clutch. And he's drawing their attention. Oh, I love that from Twistzz. Okay, this is such a small thing, but it's so important. It's so important. I don't know. People that are like high level, I feel like I'm gonna look at this and be like, dude, this is so. So he's not full committing. He's looking to get a kill. Then he's still kind of looking to get a kill here. I think at this point he's still thinking about, you know, maybe getting a kill. But as soon as his teammates are like close on cat, then he knows as soon as my teammates get caught on cat, they're as soon as they get spotted on cat, they're gonna try and kill me. So I need to back up. I need to be away at that moment. So he's kind of back as his teammates round this corner, he's already backing up, looking to be like, okay, don't let the worst, like what the CTs want to do, which is if they're fighting here and here, it's like as soon as these 3 players are caught in mid, these guys want to swing and kill Twistzz because they know he's alone. Because even if they trade on him, they gain back so much of the map if they get that kill on Twistzz. So he's just trying to make sure that isn't allowed to happen, and he doesn't overstay his welcome, which in this round actually doesn't end up being all that relevant because the CTs don't swing on him until 30 seconds after he's gone. But that is the type of small play that I think separates you know, good and really good players. Because I don't know the right way to explain it. It's like when you have a really aggressive, really insanely good aimer like Twistzz, I feel like a lot of the time those types of players just kind of float up the ranks and get to like ECL, they get to like a high level based on their aim, and then they kind of become hyper aggressive, like give me the duel, just find me a player and let me aim duel him, let me do it. But then that player can still level up past that. And I don't want to name names, but there are pros like that just want to take every duel, I feel like, or especially like MDL, ECL, you know, kind of tier 3 players that like to do that type of thing. And that's nothing wrong with that. That's still really good if you've got really great aim. But then that next level is Twistzz can still be that insane aimer and he can still destroy people, right? He's still happy to take aim duels, but he's got like that extra layer where it's like, but I know when not to take aim duels that like could still be good for me, but I know when it's more important for me to survive. I've IGL'd oppers that are like, what do you mean I need to not die? What do you mean you have 4 players on the other side of the map and if I die we lose the round? I still want to take that aim duel. And when I say I have IGL'd oppers like that have like eventually gone pro. And it's just so frustrating because they do win almost every time, and it's like, no, but you don't understand. Like the 10% of the time where you lose that duel, we lose the game. Anyways, Naf again kills someone long, and this time Liquid making because they know there's a second player long, and I think they know there's a player CT, so they're gonna send Twistzz forward up cat early, ready to take an aim duel. His aim has been on point this whole event. Xantares in mid though. does get something back. So Twistzz is in this spot that the CTs shouldn't be expecting. So I think they're just hoping someone's going to peek into Twistzz. But if nobody peeks into Twistzz, that should mean that something else is going on, which means the long push came in. But oh, Skulls was just looking away at the wrong time. Yeah. So Skulls was supposed to be holding that, but he looked away at the wrong moment. Now he's in a really interesting spot. If he didn't have the bomb, I feel like he probably flanks top mid here and tries to get a kill. But with the bomb, now he's like, oh god, I just got to sneak through. Let me through. Let me out. Let me out. It's going to be on it to Liquid to just win some gunfights here. Twistzz, this is like make or break. Did that smoke miss? I think they just missed that smoke. I think that smoke is supposed to land near the edge, right? I think that smoke can't have been intentional because he just threw that and ran away. But maybe it's just he threw it so he could rotate away and Twistzz wouldn't push through. But that's wild. If that's intentional, that's like mega brain. Because Twistzz does get, yeah. I mean, if that is intentional, if he meant to throw it like that, that is like giga brain, right? Yeah, but it looked on it. No, I bet that is intentional. Yeah. Throw it like that, rotate back around. He's just got to be worried about it the whole time. And here comes the play. So you'll notice Liquid smoke landed in time. I think, I'm trying to remember, because there was a round where someone on Eternal Fire tried to run out through long doors themselves and Liquid peeked out and killed them. And I think that Eternal Fire smoked long on that round. It was just that the smoke hadn't landed yet. So maybe Liquid has some instant long corner smokes that prevent that, like, actually land in time so that you can get out safely without having to worry about that. That would make a lot of sense. Xantares just nice little spam through. And then as soon as they get that kill on Skulls, maybe Skulls... No, I think Naf is typically the one holding control, right? No. It must be... It's definitely a spawn-based thing a lot of the time on these types of long holds. It looked like... I thought they were about to double push tons right off of that Twistzz kill. And I thought that might have been a tell. Or a Skulls kill, rather. I thought that might have been a bit of a tell. But they're not. Again, this is a really good play. I love this play so much if you can get into it. You have to be careful, though. But especially... Yeah. So, if you throw a molly early, right... By the time your molly's down, you will have known if they were putting a lot of pressure long or not. And if you know they're putting a lot of pressure long, it's a great round to move into this type of play. Because when the T's come back, it's going to be very late into the round when the T's do come back. If they do come back. So they're not really going to have too much ability to wait out this smoke. And you can kind of gamble a little bit close to A, where you've got Major covering mid. But on the B side, Calyx is completely alone. And then once he spots someone, he can toss that smoke down. But did he spot someone? I don't think he spotted anyone. He just tossed them. Maybe he must... Did he hear something? Maybe it was just a timing thing? Maybe that smoke doesn't land as fast as I thought. I really thought that smoke landed and you could, like, get away safely. Like, it just won either round. Maybe he must have heard something. He must have heard something. He must... 3 people B? Are they really just... Is this just really a gamble stack? And they've got the player pushing Cat too. Okay. Oi! Nice shot from Woxic. Alright. Plant in the smoke, then you can go Cat in the after plant. Oh, and he's got this angle around it, but Major. Okay. Cadian, you're looking right at him! Oh god. I can see why they want to cut. No, I take it back. I'm sorry. Alright. This looks like Eternal Fire should just win, right? They should be winning here. Are you winning, son? Yes. Eternal Fire is giving up Cat pretty freely. Pretty consistently. And you can work that with a good exec up Cat, but I'm not sure if teams have built out great exec like this early on when a map just gets released to the pool. Have you built out great execs on, you know, up Cat this early? You probably need a little bit of time to work on the timings and stuff. You need some practice time, and I think Liquid between events were just like event. I don't think they've really had a ton of time to practice this map, have they? I'm sure they have good execs at Cat, but I just mean they're probably not as coordinated as you want if you're playing into a team that's like almost baiting you into throwing them. So Calyx again, is up on back plat. Yakindar out mid. What's this flash? It must just be a mid flash, right? Oh, yeah. So that's the problem. I feel like, you know, in low levels, right? Like if you're in like even any level of matchmaking, that back plat angle is like overpowered. It's the same thing with auto snipers. It's like they're so overpowered at low levels because your opponents just can't hit headshots. But then you play it like even not even anywhere near a pro level. You just play it like face at 10, and it's like, okay, so now they can hit me in the head. Now the fact that an auto sniper takes 2 shots is actually a big deal. Nice little play. Nice little play. Nade slows Woxic down. He hears the foot. He hears the footstep, and Woxic really can't move because he's slowed. He knows exactly where he is as well, even without the nade. Gets the peek off on him. Nice little play. Nice little play. How's the money looking for Eternal Fire? It's all right, but this is, I mean, the games can turn so quickly, right? The money's not bad, but they're not going to have a buy next round if they lose this one. And 1 round on Dust 2, pretty easy to lose, especially because sometimes, on Dust 2 especially, sometimes you just have to gamble this type of thing. You just, if mid B hits, if you're worried about a mid B hit, it's hard to hold a mid B hit with only 2 players. So sometimes you got to gamble stack 3 players there, and there's no way to really do that except like early on in the round. Because of the mid doors, because you have to cross mid doors, a gamble stack usually has to happen early. So they gamble stack it at the very beginning, and then they go, fuck that, and they leave. Something from Liquid tells them to leave. And they're just, so this is the nightmare scenario. I'm making this comment in my video because when I look at matchmaking games, this type of thing happens all the time, where they lose long and they lose cat, and of course Eternal Fire being a pro team, they're gonna go back and take cat. But I see a lot of the time teams will just like in matchmaking, they'll just like, oh, it's totally fine to sit an opera on plat and 1 on elevator, and then a guy comes up cat and just mollies him off, and it's just game over. But if Xantares died there, nice that Major helped them out. If Xantares died there, that would have basically been the round. Here come Liquid. That smoke is a really cool smoke. I've seen that. That's like, not old school, but it's definitely something I've seen many years ago in CS. It comes in and out of fashion. I don't even think it's like a meta thing. I think some teams just like throwing that and some teams don't. It is cool, and it's, especially in CS2, that is a really cool response in CS2 because your opponents have to worry about getting naded, so they might drop double smokes to be able to cross, and then you respond with that. Yeah, that is really cool. All right, 2v4, Naf, nice. And it's gonna be Twistzz. It's gonna be Twistzz. It's gonna be Twistzz. He was reloading, so he probably didn't hear Woxic drop, but eventually he realized, oh, and he doesn't have a kit. Yep. Looks like he didn't hear Woxic drop, but then he looked around, he's like, oh, he must have dropped. And at that same moment, Woxic peeked out on him. Nicely played from Woxic on the timing. Alright, so bad money now. Very bad money for Liquid. But, again, because it's Dust 2, can you avoid lower tunnels? It's a little tough to avoid lower tunnels, which means you might have to be forced into this engagement in lower tunnels. Otherwise, if they do make a peek out on Calyx here, then this should be, you know, there's a good chance they just get this kill. But because there was an opera spotted mid, what's the last thing you want to do against Nantico is walk into the solo op. But at the same time, I'm not loving this too much. They're getting aggressive in tunnels and top mid at the same time. Or no, it's Calyx. If Woxic's just holding. Yeah, Woxic is just holding. So yeah, that's it. Nothing wrong with it. It looked weird for a second because it looked like they were pinching tunnels but also walking up mid to peek long. And Calyx was... Woxic, rather, in mid was just ready if they were in tunnels to try and catch that extra player, which is actually really sick. That's actually really cool. So it's like, I don't think he was going to peek unless they saw something in tunnels. They don't see anything in tunnels, he probably doesn't peek, and he just holds. But because they're seeing things in tunnels, he's like, okay, now I can get this guy outside long. This is probably going to rotate around, try and pivot B. Good to go. Calyx, nice shot. Woxic, is he in here in time? Yeah, he is there in time. So it's a 2v3. This is a really awkward situation. Yakindar needs to survive. Yeah, Yakindar survives, so now Twistzz can make his way over. There's a timer, though, because it's not too long, and you can see it from Woxic. It's not too long until you're like, hold up. Is there a long player? But Twistzz was just in time to actually prevent this. To actually get the kill. Yeah, just in time. You can see how quick you can see how close the timings are though, like how quick the timings are. And then Calyx is kind of pressured to peek out there because if sitting here feels cool, but the problem is if someone comes up on a plat, you're dead. So you're looking both directions. And if someone comes up here, you would think that he would clear that. I feel like in that situation, the odds of someone clearing that aren't that great, but he's definitely getting pressured. It's definitely an uncomfortable situation. And they do take out the op too. So now you've got, I mean, I feel like this is, you could argue that there is reason to believe that you could go back to the second round force with this game. Because how many times have Eternal Fire really had a great buy with an op in this game? Not very many, right? It's very few actually. They've had an op sometimes, but usually the buy wasn't great. They've had rounds without an op where also the buy wasn't great, you know? So that is going to look very different with the adjustment in the size of the molly. That play there, where the CTs are mollying him out, I feel like that play is going to look quite different. Nice shots from Skulls. Cadian doesn't kill the guy in the corner, which is unfortunate. But again, now you've got long control and you've got cat control. And I feel like Liquid was doing a better job on their CT side, even though they're both going to get 9-3'd. I feel like Liquid wasn't getting pinched in like this. Liquid was losing some aim duels. I mean, it happens. And Eternal Fire was doing a really good job of forcing aim duels in advantageous situations. However, I feel like I don't remember this really happening nearly as much for Liquid, where they would give up long and not have cat, which is just like, you may as well like leave the game at that point. Like if you lose long and cat, I feel like the round's pretty much just over. Unless you know, hit some really nice shots, maybe you can retake it or something, right? Looks like Yakindar threw a bit of a fake towards B, did draw a bit of a rotate, and then they go for the delayed long play, which I love, but Eternal Fire is completely ready for it. Yeah. That's a nice little play from Liquid. It did draw Xantares over, but because there was a smoke already in long doors, did they open with a smoke? That's an interesting question. Was this an open smoke scenario? No, they just open with the molly. Yeah, they open with the molly, wait, then smoke, and this angle from Arcadia is a great angle for this type of play. Just get into that corner, wait for that flash from the tees, and then it seems like, is this a delayed flash? Is this like Xantares ready with his flash, like a reactionary flash? No. So you wait for the flash, and then because the smoke is up, as long as you dodge that flash, you're going to be able to spam him down through the smoke. Yeah, that's really nice. Yeah, I like that play. I like it. And then Liquid is 3v5. Small thing. I mean, good idea to follow. If you're 3v4, 3v5, even 3v3, 2v3, if you're down in numbers, T-side dust 2, one of the best plays you can make is just walk out mid. Because as the numbers go down, one of the most common places for the CT players to leave is, and as the round goes down, because mid, you really have to just take some aim duels, right? Like if they peek mid, you're just fighting, you're just aim dueling. And if you're in an advantage, you don't want to do that as CTs. And also, you know, as the round goes on, you might not want to do that. You might not have the players to do that. So you walk out mid as Ts. If they're still there, you can aim duel them, which is really what you want in these types of situations. And if they're not there, you can get very close up and then force this type of situation where there's 2 B players. But if the, 3v2 on B is not a bad situation and B is very hard to retake, right? If you're 3v5 and someone says, I'll give you the whole map, or you can 3v2 2 players on B where you're just outside B and the rotate is still on A site. You're taking that 3v2 on B 100% of the time. So usually very often the opper would lead out there. You like scope in, op leads out, but you can do that with a rifle too. And honestly, I feel like with Peeker's advantage in CS2, you might even want to do that with a rifle. It might even be better. Naf has been doing work at long when he hasn't been going for the play. So this early on in the second half, it looked like Liquid was generally winning that long duel. It's like a psychological battle, right? Like when you go long with all of your players, you win it, right? And then, you know, so the CT team has to kind of play like that, and then you can do some delayed hits, and generally looked like Liquid is getting the better of the long control battle early on in the half, but it looks like the exact opposite is happening now, where Eternal Fire is starting to get the better of the long control battle. But still, I really like when teams are, I don't know if dynamic is the right word, but I really like teams that will like take long and then sometimes like go back and take cat, or they'll put long control pressure and have guys on cat a little bit more often. Whereas it seems like Liquid have just been taking cat for free, and you don't want to be caught on cat. If your opponents take cat with the correct amount of utility, cat is not a spot that you're supposed to be able to hold. Generally, you're not supposed to be able to hold on to Catwalk long term. However, going up on cat once in a while just to catch them off guard and then force them to use the right amount of utility, because it looks like Liquid is kind of taking cat without really using all that much utility now. They just know that cat's going to be empty a lot of the time. Xantares gets caught because he runs there. He's just, it just doesn't have the right timing. I think he knows the play he wants to make. He's probably, I think he might even be making it before the utility comes in, but it just gets kind of timing. That's awkward because Twistzz walks. Oh, okay, that's a nice shot. Because Twistzz tries to crouch under the angle and then Cadian's peeking, but I think they're just on different pages. I think Cadian was thinking Twistzz would just swing, so they were swinging together, and Twistzz is thinking they're both walking under, so he's walking under, and then optimally, you know, oh my god, Twistzz! Optimally, you know, if they both swing, then Twistzz trades right away, right? Because that's not a trade. A trade is when, like, your teammate dies and you get the kill back because your teammate just died, because they're between shots or because they're in the middle of the open or whatever, right? I don't call that a trade because although it happened just after, Woxic could have just got that kill and ran away for free. He had the kill, he had the advantage, and he re-peeked and Twistzz got the kill. Kind of independent events. Here, nice angle. Oh! No! It looked like Twistzz had the exact right play. Major just peeked under it, had a really quick shot. Nice play. Maybe that's an Opper situation. Maybe Twistzz isn't ready for that angle because he's not an Opper, or he's like, you know, maybe Major is just, but Major's not an Opper either. Major's their secondary Opper though, isn't he? Twistzz is, I feel like back on 2019 Liquid, Twistzz was like the least likely player to pick up an op, wasn't he? Stewie loved the op. Nitro, obviously. I know Naf was like an opper on, I think, T-Side Inferno? Naf was an opper no, I wouldn't say T-Side Inferno, because I know Naf was an opper mostly on maps where opping is comfortable, which is like CT Inferno and like CT Dust 2, maybe? CT New? CT Train? I don't know. I'm just listing maps now. Did you get aim punch? Did you not have armor? It looked like you had aim punch. There's the smoke. Those smokes are even harder to deal with now than they used to be. And again, they're just punishing the guy back plat over and over and over. Nice peek from Skulls, but Calyx gets him in the back, or sorry, gets him back, even though it was a very nice peek. Calyx just good crosshair placement, really. I want to see that again because I think Calyx just had really amazing crosshair placement there, didn't he? Yeah, so this is so much harder to deal with now because the T's can even nade out that smoke if they want. With the smoke outside the tunnels, right? You can be sitting here and you can toss a nade just around the corner that's going to take out like the entire nade almost, and then, or the entire smoke almost, and you can just kill anyone in sight. I've seen one team do that. I feel like that might start happening. I don't know, but that might happen. You molly back plat and then nade out the smoke instead of trying to run through. I feel like some more teams are going to be throwing that. This is just good crosser. He must hear him dropping. He hears Skulls dropping. He knows he's going to go for that peek. Really good crosshair placement though. He doesn't even have to move his crosshair at all. All right, Xantares quick out long. Yeah, the smoke just takes a little longer to land. Liquid just has a better long smoke, it seems like. And the spam through the smoke, oh my god. People want Skulls cut? Bro, he's hit some insane plays in this game. Jeez. I say that. I don't know. I haven't really watched too many Liquid games, so maybe this is he's done some really great plays this game though. And then they go for the delayed long. Oh yeah, I really like that. Yeah, especially because if you look back at the first half, what was Eternal Fire doing a ton? They were taking long and then waiting and then walking up long. So they get this rotate from Twistzz just in time because of Skulls. Because Skulls peeked out and got those 2 kills, Twistzz was able to get here in time. And because Twistzz got here in time, Cadian can stay posted and Twistzz can move up close corner. Yep. And with him close corner, he can even hear them reloading. They just need the flash from Naf. Naf's going to come over and provide them with it, right? There's the flash. There's the peek. Nice. Yeah, I really like that play. It's all timing based, right? You could want to go for that play, but if your long players just die too quickly, then you're screwed anyways, right? But if you're in a situation where the T's are kind of slow on that long take, you can get that rotate over in time. You can get that player to make his way on the rotation just in time so that you can get there and you can make it work. The key was, though, that Cadian was able to block them from getting into pit. If someone flashed and they could have been in pit, I think Cadian would have had to play that very differently. So the fact that nobody jumped pit early on really makes the difference there. Like, nobody feigned that they flashed, or that they jumped pit. Like, nobody even flashed it so that they could jump pit. I guess they thought that the smoke would block all vision of a pit drop, but Cadian didn't think so. I wonder who's right. I wonder if that smoke does block a pit drop or it doesn't. It looked like it didn't to me, though. So 3v2. They are ready for that play, but I don't think they're expecting Naf deep T-spawn. This is a little more rare. Made the 1v3. Not this time, buddy. Not this time, bucko. 15-14, so 16-14 would be GG. So playing for double OT. Liquid, oh yeah. They throw a double molly. This is what I was talking about. Going for, cat control. They throw a double molly as if they're taking long, and then they go back around, and they go for cat control. But Eternal Fire, they don't even go around for cat control. They go for stack mid. That's super clever. Okay, I mean, that's like a big investment, right? That is it. Oh, okay, no, sorry. They do go for, I thought Skulls was C-team, my bad. They do go for cat control, but Cadian was already here. They go 1 cat control and they double mid and they abandon long completely. That is a really cool play. It obviously doesn't work this time, but I really like that play. It's a huge investment, obviously. It's a massive investment and it's a gamble. But it's Dust 2. Especially in regulation. That would be a really cool play to make like on first gun round, where it's like you go for that type of play as if you're faking it, and then you go for like this cat and mid stack, and it's like, well, if they go out long, okay. But I guess the idea is if they go out long, you can still pivot back into a long hold, right? Because your opponents are gonna your opponents have to make noise taking long. They can't take long for free. Oh, Xantares. They can't take long for free. Or without making noise, sorry. So you can always pivot back into this, and look, the 4-man long stack, the 4-man A-site stack, they're so ready for this. There's the nade on the cross. That's why I like that double nade, or the double smoke where you throw the deep smoke instead of, but it looks like because these smokes land super deep, it looks like they're hard to nade the whole thing. Maybe that's the idea. You get them to land like at varying depths, maybe, and then you can't, one nade won't be able to take out the whole, wait, what is going on? It looks like one nade wasn't able to take that out. All right, so 1v4. I've seen this before. What is this? I've seen this situation before. This is like... Oh, his gun was through the box? That is bullshit. Okay. Cadian did nothing wrong, okay? Cadian, in this case, his gun's visible through the box, right? Sorry, we're gonna have to watch... Because I can't... The free can't... Wait, his gun wasn't visible through the box? He was like 20 feet away from the box. Just like spam. Oh, that's just a bullet in the box. Okay, I thought his gun was sticking through. Okay, yeah, okay. I don't know. It's that's one of those situations because I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be honest for a second. Moment of clarity. Admission of guilt. I forgot that box was spammable. So if that box isn't spammable, I really like hiding. If the box is spammable, I know why he hid. He hid because he doesn't want to give up the 2v1 and give Woxic a 1v1. He doesn't want to throw them around. But that's one of those situations, sometimes, I think this is very debatable. I think this is debatable, but I'm going to say it from my perspective. I feel like this is one of those situations where you have to just trust that you can win the duel as an opper. If you're a rifler, different. He's on plat with the op, though. Woxic misses a shot. Woxic misses a shot, and Cadian could just post, couldn't he? Does maybe Cadian also misses a shot? Yeah, I bet that's what happened. I bet Cadian just... Maybe, I bet he has to reload. He misses a shot and then he has to reload, doesn't he? Mid dies. Misses a shot. Has to reload. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No. I thought he wasn't confident. I thought he was just scared. I thought he... Because this is something I see, you know. You see it sometimes, even at the pro level, where someone... They're like, they don't want to... They're too scared of giving up a 1v1 or giving up a kill. And so instead of the play that's like probably the better play in the moment, it's just like, I don't want to give up a kill, and so you play safe, and by playing safe you actually give them more of an opportunity to give it back. I think that's why, personally, I think that's part of why Astralis was so good, was because they didn't have to overanalyze it. They didn't have to think about it to make the right play. Everyone was just on the same page that they made the smart play all the time. It's not like normally I would make this aggressive play, but because it's like, you know, because it's a 2v1, I'm going to make the safe play, and then you're not used to it and you die. But yeah, I'm overanalyzing that. I'm overanalyzing that one. Cadian just had to reload. That's all it was. Okay? That's a really cool game. I'm glad I reviewed that. That is a cool... I like the nades into mid were cool. The nades from Xantares, the 4 nades, were sick. There was a play, what was the play? Someone comment, what was the play? There was a play that was like, that was so sick. I need to be making that play. What is... the double molly was cool. The double molly into like double mid, double cat. That was really clever. I really like that strategically. That's a strat I could see stealing. But there was a play that someone made that I was like, oh my god, I gotta steal that play. I'll try to remember it. Anyways, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the content, support me on Patreon. Patreon.com/VooCSGO. Go, support me, please. Thank you. Peace.